Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Black Talent TV's presents Be in the Talk, where we have engaging conversations with influential figures in the entertainment business. Now, engaging and influential are the perfect words to describe my next guest, actor Chris Greene. His credits include being on the hit TV show of Atlanta, about FX Atlanta, of course, we all know that, and he's also worked with amazing actors like Nick Offerman, Gabrielle Union, Joel Egerton. He's worked with directors like John Lee Hancock, Jeff Nichols. I mean, this goes on and on with this guy. He's a emerging young man, and we're excited to have him on here today. Hey, Chris.
Hey, how you doing? Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, and we appreciate you being on here. We're really excited. We've been wanting to have you down here for a while, so we are really glad you made some time because, again, you're a busy man. As I said, you got so much going on, so we're glad you came down here and talked with us today.
Oh, of course, no problem. Yes, try to stay busy. There we go. I try to keep busy, but it's all, when you do what you love, like they say, it's never really work, so.
Exactly. Yes, I love that attitude. Exactly. I agree. So again, I said you worked with so many amazing actors. You started in hit show Atlanta. Now, I just want to know, where did this passion and this journey for acting begin?
Yeah, it's been a while, so we're not gonna count the years. I don't want to date myself. But no, I grew up just watching movies. I mean, it's funny because a lot of actors, they say that sort of thing. You hear that when actors are interviewed and directors and people. But my pops, he always had some sort of VHS or something on the TV, always playing. So I always been around him, but I never actually wanted to be an actor until I got into college, finishing up high school, got into college. And I think what actually wanted me to, or turned me on to the idea of that would be cool to kind of do was, I saw one of the first movies I saw on the big screen where I got to go by myself. I mean, obviously it took me when I was younger. When I got to go by myself was Independence Day, Will Smith's joint. And, that was obviously a big, huge deal and box office movie and all this stuff. And to get to go by myself, I didn't have to have either one of my parents. It was like, I was, a teenager, and it was like, all right, cool. I saved up my money, my allowance. I can go in the theater, play some video games, and then go watch this movie by myself. And it was crazy to kind of see, this film and see how people reacted to, I remember it being sold out because it released, I think, that July 4th weekend. I think it was actually on July 4th back then when it came out. But,
You're right.
to see everybody react to that. And I was just like, oh, this is cool. And you can entertain people. And mind you, at this point, I'd already been, performing in front of people because I was a drummer. Well, I still am, obviously. But I started in school playing instruments because I always wanted to play, like, saxophone and whatever, and I wasn't good enough to do that. So they throw a pair of drumsticks in my hand, and that began the performing in front of people. It was like, oh, drums is okay. I guess I'll do this. So, but it was nice to see a different medium of getting people's attention and entertaining them. And so I kind of dabbled in it a little bit, in high school, and then in college, a friend of mine who was going to North Carolina School of Arts, they were shooting their thesis film, and he was like, hey, you want to be an extra, just come hang out for the day, shooting this club scene. And the film was called Chicks 101. It's actually available on Amazon. And it's been out, obviously, for a very long time. But, once I got onto that set and to see, basically, they converted this place that was, like, empty. It was just an empty space, nothing. It was, gutted. And they turned it into a functioning club. And it was crazy to see that. And I was like, all right, you know what? I want to try this. I want to try this filmmaking, this acting thing, and see what happens. And then from there, I got the bug, as they say. You got bit by the bug, and it's been with me ever since. So that's pretty much the start of it, from watching it to actually seeing how they create this stuff to going, okay, you know what? I want to be this type of storyteller. So let me go ahead and try this thing. And had I known how crazy the industry is as far as the amount of work, you have to put in, at that time, I probably wouldn't have done it. But I'm glad nobody told me because, I was one of those naive people who think, oh, you just stand in front of the camera and that's it. That's all you got. And I quickly woke up, so they quickly got my ass into shape and was like, "Oh no, you gotta put in work here if you want this to be good and legit." So
Yeah, yeah, I heard that acting bug can be pretty, you can get that pretty quick. I heard that can be pretty addictive.
oh, absolutely. Once you get bit, it's if you're everybody's a storyteller. I mean, here's how I look at it. And I use that word because one of my mentors, who I still, he's just a great, you know, somebody I look up to and a great mentor, in regards to acting and outside of that. But my coach, Dennis Neal, he refers to everybody as storytellers as far as an industry, because it's true. Everybody can tell a story. It doesn't necessarily mean you're good at it per se, but someone, if you've lived life, you've got a story to tell everybody. Myself, yourself, is you've
Mm-hmm.
been through these experiences where you sit down and you do that. And even if you take it back to when we're little, I mean, whether you grew up in a 1 or 2 parent household, hopefully, when you went to bed, mom or dad or both was there telling you a bedtime story. That's,
Right.
basically they're engaging your imagination. So, everybody has the ability to do it, but when you get bit with the acting bug, it's one of those things to where it gets you over that fear of, hey, you know what, this is something that I want to, not just my family and friends, I want to tell everybody. I don't care if I'm on a stage, in front of a camera, on a radio, it doesn't matter. I have this thing to where I want to be able to tell all my experiences or take other people's stories and kind of add my flair to it and get people interested. So yeah, that bug is, it's addictive, man. I tell people, it's like once you get, it's just like, some of these vampire zombie shows you watch, it's like when they get bit, then they turn into whatever it is. It's the same thing with acting. It's like you get turned on to it. It's a wrap after that. You're always in at that point.
Well, obviously you're good. Obviously, you caught the eye of, obviously Donald Glover, co-star on the Atlanta. So obviously you're really good at it. So I really like watching that show. I like watching, you guys act. And, I think that's great that you consider it storytelling. And I'm glad you didn't do that typical Hollywood actor answer. I really do like the fact you consider yourself a storyteller, because it's what we are. But, some of us, it's good to see some of us actually take that storyteller dream and put it to the big screen. So I'm excited to see what else, man, what else you can bring to the table as far as acting goes.
Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's the goal for me is to just move forward and be very particular about the stories that I'm telling at this point. I think obviously, when you get into the industry and you get into the business, everyone has these initial ideas, whether you want to be famous, whether you want to be popular, whether you want to be, the best at it, whatever it is, you have an initial goal. And I think as you get into it, the longer you're into it, those goals kind of alter, or they even change in some point. And for me, it's more a matter of the quality over quantity at this point. It's like I want to be involved in telling stories that make people have conversation, that make people think. If
Yes.
you look at over the past 3 or 4 years, the projects that I have done,
Mm-hmm.
whether you're speaking about, Birth of a Nation or Loving or even The Founder or Atlanta, these type of shows and movies that are, making people, they watch them, and it makes these families or these friends or even just a complete stranger sit next to you, you have a conversation with them about, man, is this how we really living out here? Or is this what it's really like? Or I could vibe with that. Man, I thought nobody understood my struggle, but they do. And that's kind of where I'm at. I'm kind of, I'm not that guy that really concerns himself with the quote unquote, the fame. The respect is a big thing,
Mm-hmm.
of course, but the fame is like, if I go to Target and, nobody recognizes me, I'm cool with that. Because my daughter loves Target. So it's like, okay, cool, I can take her shopping. But I don't shun it either. I mean, it was always nice to have somebody come up to you and, hey, I saw you on this and I loved it.
Right.
It was great. And, that sort of thing. But, I've been in scenarios or been around other, fellow actors who have reached a certain pinnacle of success, and they can't even sneeze, without somebody being in the vicinity and
Right.
their nose, and it's just like that.
Yeah.
Annoying.
Yeah. I totally understand what you mean. Totally understand what you mean. And speaking, with working with other people, you worked, like I said before, with Gabrielle Union, Joel Egerton. Have they actually given you any advice how to navigate, to how to be kind of successful, how to navigate, Hollywood? Because Hollywood can be, sleazy at every corner. Have they given you advice how to stay true to you in Hollywood?
Um, Not so much. I mean, some actors that I've worked with have have been, I think who probably gave me the best advice, honestly, is Roger Gunther Smith. He's an OG in the game. I mean, a lot of people, his name is familiar, and they kind of iffy on playing his place in his face, but he's been in pretty much all of Spike Lee's movies. He's
Mm-hmm.
always acting opposite Denzel. He had a one-man show where he did Rodney King that actually came out on Netflix. Just a OG, a great actor. And he, once I pointed out, like, oh, that guy, and they love him,
Mm-hmm.
from a bunch of stuff that he's been in. And, we worked on Birth of a Nation together, and we sat down and ate lunch one day, and he was just basically telling me, man, family first. I mean, it's always gonna, you get your circle, you get your tight group of people, and they'll keep you grounded enough to deal with the stresses of fame. Because
Yeah.
you know a lot of times, a lot of these celebrities, like, honestly, I put actors in two different groups, actors and actresses in two different groups. I put them in celebrities and entertainers, and I think celebrities are the ones that are always having that fiending for that, the camera, the limelight. They never stop. It's like they never really are them. Entertainers, it's like our job is to entertain people, so we do that, and then when the camera's off, we're back to just we're us. We're
Mm-hmm.
always us, but it's like, okay, I'm chill. Let's go do this. Let's not talk about the industry today. Let's talk about this football game. Let's talk about,
Yeah.
another movie that we saw just as a fan that we like. Let's talk about what's going on in the world that's crazy or whatever, that sort of thing. So him kind of drilling that into me as far as just keeping it family first, man, and just enjoying life, and it'll be easy to navigate that stuff. Other cats, I like to listen to a lot of the OGs in the game that have been around the block for several years, and have done all sorts of mediums. Whether it's they did the hustle, they did the commercials, they did the crazy TV shows, they did the good TV shows, they did the good movies, the bad movies. They did all these sort of things. Coleman Domingo is another actor, which a lot of people know him from Fear the Walking Dead. He plays
Mm-hmm.
Strand. Um, he's just been an awesome just guy to talk to and kick it with.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when I get frustrated about certain things. Coleman's like, listen, man, do you, at the end of the day,
Right.
you make people come to you because they like what you do. Don't try to do what somebody else does. Do what you do, because, you're always going to have that type of fan base. And Coleman's constantly reinventing himself. I mean, this man, just when you think he's one thing, he turns around and does another thing, and you love every single bit about it. Like, he's that cool uncle, in my opinion, that comes to like a barbecue. You got that one uncle that comes, and everybody,
Yes.
the parents are like, man, that's crazy, Uncle Coleman right there. But all the nieces and nephews love him. They're like,
Yes.
Uncle Coleman's here. It's like, because he's that chill. Like, he's older, but he ain't too old to keep it with the young crowd. You know what I mean? Like, he's just hip no matter what decade it is, no matter what time it is. Like, that's what I think of. Or how I think of Coleman. He's been great. But yeah, and it's also just watching some of these other actors. Like, you watch how, somebody like a Michael Shannon or Joel Edgerton, or, you watch how, these people move and navigate and do, certain things. Armie Hammer is killing it right now. He was also in Birth of a Nation. It's like, you watch
Mm-hmm.
how they handle these interviews and how they do, and then also talking to them as people, and you realize, at the end of the day, that's what it is. They're people. It's like, okay, I
Exactly.
go on with my job, and when the camera's off, I'm just a normal person. Just holler at me regularly. But yeah, I mean, I think that's it's become harder to navigate that thing with fame, because of the advent of
Right.
like social media, and everybody in the audiences expect stuff to happen now, and they think they know you because you have a tweet or a Facebook post or an Instagram post, and everyone is it's good because you get to touch base with your fans, but it's the double edge to that, or
Yeah.
the antithesis of that is that they get to touch you, and
Mm-hmm.
they expect to be able to do so immediately. And it's like, the moment you don't respond, all of a sudden you're a bad guy, so
Yeah.
you gotta learn how to balance that. And I think by just keeping your inner circle, and keep it grounded, it works itself out, it balances itself out.
I totally do. I really agree with that. I totally agree with that. You seem really grounded, Chris. You really do. You got your head straight. You're focused, and you seem really grounded, and it's good, because as more success come to you, you need to be grounded, and you need to have like as I said, that circle, that tight circle around you to keep you focused. And it's good that you have other actors that you can go to that, not only understand what you're going through, but it also can give you advice if stuff gets tough like that. So that's good.
Yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
always nice to have.
Absolutely. And again, you have a range of a resume. Not only have you started in Birth of the Nation, Atlanta, loving founder, you have also started your own production company, Detour. I hope I pronounced that right.
Yes, that's right. Detour Entertainment.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. So you are just seriously the man on the rise here. So I just need to know, starting your own production company, what's been the most rewarding experience since you started, and what's been the most challenging?
The reward for having your own having your own business is you working for yourself, and you're bettering yourself, and it teaches you how to focus and shoot for a goal and stick to it.
Mm-hmm.
I was in the corporate world for many, many years, even when I first started acting. And, I was literally, there was a point in time where I was laid off from 3 major companies back to back to back. And I just I was like, you know what, this can't, I'm at the mercy of someone else. It's like if I
Right.
start my own business and it fails, at least it failed because I didn't put 100% in. Or even if it does fail and I did put 100% in, it was like, okay, at least I know what I'm capable of doing. Uh,
Exactly.
but being at the mercy of someone else, bothers me. As an actor, you are, even when I direct, I'm at the mercy of someone else, whether it's a producer or a studio or something like that. But I think in our medium, it's like you still have another option. If it's like a major studio doesn't want to do your stuff, then you do it independently. And I think in the corporate world or like a regular job, it's like, you show up to work one day, they can just look at you and go, you know what, we can't afford to pay you, or we got bought out by, and they don't find you an alternative, or you don't have an alternative because you haven't been looking. And it's like, okay, what do I do with my family? What do I do with my bills? What do I do with
Right.
me? So having your business has been rewarding as far as knowing what I'm capable of doing and how, understanding that I do have the ability to make things happen, when I buckle down and focus. I think the stresses are really the bad thing about it, honestly. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
having to, when everybody else is ready to, which I've always been a workaholic. My work ethic is ridiculous. I pride myself on that. But, there are times where it's like you want to go to the beach or something and your friends are going, but nope, you've got to, put
Right.
together this proposal, or you've got to send out a bunch of emails to let people know about, production coming up or casting coming up, or, hey, we have this service that we can offer. You know, it's those type of things to where it's like, man, I just kind of want to take a break. But it's 24/7. When you're a business owner, it's 24/7. You really can't have any days off, because it relies on you and anybody that you have working with you or under you. You have to make sure that they are taken care of, but also on point as well. So I think that's kind of been the stresses. But being able to bring something to the table when I contact another producer or work with another group of filmmakers and go, no, I already have all that locked down. I'm bringing this to the table. What can you match? Opposed to just, only coming as myself and not having a company to back it. It's almost like, hey, can you take me on? Can you take me on? Can I work for you? And being a business owner, it's like, no, we need to partner up. We're working hand in hand. It's
Right.
not, I work for you or you work for me. It's like, let's get this popping together. Yeah, I guess the best way to kind of describe it is, Issa Rae, I think I saw a article or something that was posted maybe a month ago, and they were interviewing Issa Rae and talking about obviously her success with Insecure,
Mm-hmm.
and all these things that she's doing, and you know she turned me on to an idea of networking. As I always tell my students and other people that come to me about networking how important it is, which she totally agreed. But the way she approaches it, I thought was really slick, in the sense of, people always want to network up, right? It's like, okay, I want to go get to where you're at, so I'm going to go holler at you, opposed to hollering at the person next to you, networking laterally opposed to vertically. So it's like, hey, you and I are on the same plane and we both have the same goals. Let's use what we have together to take a step forward, opposed to let me try to grab somebody's coattails or claw up and grab. And I thought that was really, really intelligent, and a smart way to approach it, because clearly it's been successful for her. And you notice it's like-minded people, they kind of wind up working together. I mean, she has the same crew of people and people that she rocked with from when she started out on YouTube all the way up to now. And it's the same thing. We look at somebody like a Robert Rodriguez, Judd Apatow, a Spike Lee, Martin Scorsese. These people work with the same group of people over and over and over again to make leaps forward. And, for me, that's kind of where I'm at, not only as an actor, as a director, but as a business owner, is where I'm trying to get with people who are like-minded and move forward. And, it may take a while to happen because, some people may not be on the same wavelength as you, but once you find that group, then it's so easy to get these projects off the ground, to move forward, to have something to put out online for people to rock with and respond to, and, show, hey, this is what I'm worth. This is what my brand is. So, it's definitely more of a benefit than a hindrance having your own business, but it's a lot of work. And if your work ethic ain't on point, then, you can work for somebody else until you get to that point, or, if that's not your thing, then, best to you. But I've always been more of a leader opposed to a follower. So that sitting back waiting game wasn't really for me.
And good, because look at the success you got. I mean, you went out and you're on your grind, and no one can fault you for that, and certainly not me. So you're definitely doing your thing, and you are getting success. So it's good that you took the initiative in your own hands, and you took your chances in your own hands, and you did something about it. I think that's great.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, speaking with that, with your production company and just with your acting career alone, where do you hope to go in the near future? I mean, for your acting career, do we hope to see some more maybe films like kind of how you did in, Birth of a Nation, or are we maybe thinking maybe more big time production films? What do we see? What do we see?
Like I said, it's for me, it's the quality thing. I mean, any scripts that I get, or any roles that I see auditions for, that reflect stories that I want to tell and that are going to be good. And I don't mean from the sense of budget wise, because people associate money with success. I just recently was having this conversation with people, and I think that's the problem with majority of how people view success. Money doesn't mean you're good. Because you have a bunch of money does not mean you're good. Case in point, look at the president. I mean, this guy's got a bunch of money, but clearly he is not a good president. You know what I mean? So
exactly, 100%.
Yeah, so it's like money doesn't equate success. You know
exactly.
what I mean? You got billionaires, committing suicide and jumping off of buildings and killing themselves because they still haven't reached the success that they wanted to. They got a bunch of money, but it was like, okay, I didn't achieve this. And to me, with my acting career, it's like I want to be able to look at my resume and be happy. Like even right now, it sounds braggadocious, but it's not. I mean, I'm told constantly by fellow actors that they'd kill to have my resume because of the quality of what's on it. And it's like, I don't have a resume just full of, I'm in 100 million movies, but 999,000 of them, suck. It's like, it's not, that's not the game I want to play. It's like, if you look at my resume and go, okay, this guy only did 50 films, but out of the 50, 47 of them were fantastic. That's a win for me, so it's continuing to stay on that path and obviously work with, some of these people that I find to be, work in a bigger capacity with some of the people I've worked with, or work with some people who I haven't worked with in a large capacity. I mean, obviously, Will Smith's a big influence on me. It'll be great to work with him, in a large capacity. The OG, the great Denzel. I mean, obviously it'd be fantastic to work with him, a Don Cheadle, a John Leguizamo, a Michael Shannon, even the, cats that are around my age, like a Michael B. Jordan and Chadwick Boseman. I mean, working with these cats that are doing things on a level that I respect is the goal for, 2018 and moving forward, is to get on with some of these productions and link up with these cats, and do work. Also affect change. Everybody knows the industry is going through, transition right now. In light of all the unfortunate events with the sexual harassment and abuse and assaults that have happened from these guys, these people in position of power. And that's something that I want to affect change on is, on all fronts. I think
absolutely
this whole aspect of we've gotten away from the idea of this, this equality aspect. And I think it's become a finger pointing game. And to me, and I guess maybe it's old school thinking, but, some of these inequities happen because people don't look at the grand scheme of who's best for the job.
exactly.
If a female is the stronger actor and she brings the stronger credentials, she should get paid more than a man does or equal to what a man does. Vice versa. If a minority, whether he's Indian, black, Spanish or whatever, stacked up to this white actor, he should get paid the same, if not more. It's like this whole thing
Absolutely.
of,
Absolutely.
look at the number. It's like, look at the numbers. The fact of the matter is, look at the numbers. It's amazing to me how, in the writer's room, there are, a quarter of the writer's room, if you have 4 people, one of them is a female, whether she's white or black or whatever, and in most cases, if she's young, they're not taken seriously, or if it's a young black writer, they're not taken seriously. But the interesting thing about it is you look at the shows like an Insecure, like an Atlanta, I can't believe this show is off the air now, but the Carmichael Show, you look at these shows, it's like, okay, these are minority staff writers, and these shows are killing and doing work. Look at these movies that they say don't do well or cross overseas, but they're dominating these comedy specials and movies. You look at these people writing this stuff that are usually younger, and they are quote unquote minorities. They're taking the industry over, and people want a different perspective. People are getting tired of seeing, this older white man's vision, this 50, 60-year-old white man's vision of this is how the world is. And it's like, no, it's not been that way since that cat was 30. It's like you're decades behind. The world is different now. There are a lot more interracial couples. There are a lot more same-sex couples. You have people, transgender people. You have all these different type of people bringing something to the table, and they all, like I said, have a story to tell, and every story is interesting. Nobody can tell my story the way I can, based on how I grew up and the people that I'm around. Just like I can't tell somebody else's story, whether they're gay, straight, transgender, or they grew up in a foster system or not, they came from a loving family or not. It's like everybody has different stories to tell, and the fact that it's relegated by the 1%ers, these group of people who have the money that control Hollywood, and go, this is what we're going to put out, this is not what we're going to put out. And they wonder why overall, as far as financially, Hollywood is struggling. It's like, yeah, the box office is crashing because people don't want to see the same stuff over and over and over again. TV ratings are down because it's like, I'd much rather go on Netflix where they're open to different sorts of content, or Hulu where they're open to different sorts of content, than have to sit there and watch, some of these networks pipe out the same show over and over and over again.
Exactly. And I 100% agree.
There
is a hunger, there is a demand, it is there. And to just blatantly ignore it is costing Hollywood, because like you said, it's losing money. And you guys are just not, Hollywood's not listening. People want diversity. They want something different. They want a different narrative, not the same narrative. Yeah. And it's why movies like Girls Trip made a lot of money.
Oh man, that movie was fantastic. I mean, yes. And I can't, and here's the situation. It's like, cats, anybody that can look you in the face and sit there and tell you, and shout out to, I mean, all the ladies were great, Regina and Jada and Queen Latifah, yes. But shout out to Tiffany Haddish. I met Tiffany a long time ago when she was like coming up on a circuit and doing her thing through a director friend of mine, and it was like I think it was like the first time I actually went out to LA, early 2000s, and we went to the Improv out there, and she, she had just done a little show, and she's always had that high octane energy. But I met her again briefly at the Image Awards last year, because Atlanta, Birth of a Nation, and Loving were all nominated for the NAACP Image Awards, and she was there, and you just knew, man. I mean, the energy she had in the room, you just knew it was like, yo, it's her time, man. It's about to be on and popping. And this was obviously before Girls Trip came out. And it's like, to see what she's going through now, like, I'm not surprised at all of her success. And to me, she stole the show in that. And man, everybody's been saying that. And it's not to say the other ladies did bad or anybody else did, but you could not take your eyes off the screen when Tiffany was on the screen. So that's what I'm talking about. It's like, there's so many stories that can be told, and through actresses, and actors, like Tiffany, that can make waves. And Girls Trip did numbers, man. They try to, don't, and that's the thing. It's like, don't, and I say this to all the listeners. It's like, let's see for yourself, because critics, here's the thing. Their job is to to speak from what at the end of the day, they're speaking from what they think. They can break
Exactly.
stuff down all day, but it's like, yo, numbers are there for a reason. Statistics exist for a reason. Look at the stats, look at the facts. Facts is Girls Trip was nowhere near a flop. It was very successful, probably one of the more successful movies of the year. Just like they try to tear down Bright, you know, that was a whole big thing. Everybody's like, oh, Bright is the worst movie of 2017, blah, blah. 11 million people obviously disagreed because 11 million
Yeah.
people watched it the day it came out. So it's like, I can tell you right now, some movies that came out that I know 11 people didn't go see, much less 11 million. So, you know, it's go for yourself and see, and then, you know, spark the conversation. Talk to your friends. Tell them, yo, you need to go watch it. I thought it was whack, but let me know what you think. Or, yo, this was dope. That's how Hollywood survives the box office. What happens is now people are still, even though it's on a social medium, if the critic says it, it must be right. Or if it's on Twitter, you know, and because this company said it, then it must be right. And it's just like, think for yourself. You know, it's like, okay,
Exactly.
you know, if people are talking about it, go find out for yourself. And if you have no interest, cool. That's if it's not your flavor, whatever. But, you know, don't just go off the fact of, oh, Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 10, so it must be whack. It's like, you know how many times Rotten Tomatoes was wrong about a rating? You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's like, come on, man. Those are people doing that just like us, you know, that have a certain feeling. So, you know, go out and peep game and see what it is, and don't be caught up in the hype of, oh, well, you know, because Coca-Cola said it was bad, you know. Throw an example out there, not that they said it, but it's like, oh, they said it was bad. Then it's like, don't even do your thing. You know what I mean? Do your
Exactly,
thing.
exactly. And I do agree. I think everyone should definitely go out and see Girls Trip. It was amazing. The ladies are amazing, and Tiffany is also amazing. We've been dying to try to get her on the show. We would love it. She's been probably the biggest star to come out of 2017 right now. I mean, 2018 is definitely going to be her year, and it's Array too. It's definitely going to be her year, and of course, um, is going to be the year for you guys as well, because in case anyone forgot or didn't know, Atlanta comes back March 1st. I'm excited. I got my TVO set.
Yeah,
I do. I do. I have a set. I'm excited. I'm excited. And you know, as we were speaking about the diversity and the hunger for it, for Atlanta, in your own words, why do you think people are just clamoring for this show? Like I said, you guys got a second season, so won't be surprised to me if you guys get a third, fourth, fifth. I mean, explain, why do you think people are just loving this show?
um, you know, well, first off, congrats to Steven and Donald and the whole
Yes,
Hero and the whole team.
absolutely.
Because you know people waited a year for the show to come back, so that
Hmm.
speaks volumes. I think for me, it's the honesty. I mean, you know, from the
Hmm.
time that I spent with Donald and how brief, whatever, however brief, you know, but the time I spent with Donald and Steven, um, those guys keep it 100, man. And, you know, that phrase is thrown around a lot, but it really, I mean, they really just spoke from the heart, I think, when they were writing this and directing this and performing in it. And I think it also showcases the struggle. Excuse me. I think people are fascinated with an artist's struggle. And
Yes.
it's not to downplay anybody else who has a gig, you know, doctors, police, teachers. In my opinion, honestly, I think teachers by far, the teachers that give a damn, not these teachers that just show up and read out of a book. The teachers that actually, you know, my niece is a teacher,
Oh.
you know, I've sat in her classes several times, and she really cares. Like her students, you know, she almost acts like Big Mama in there sometimes, I think. But you know, shout out to the teachers that give a damn and that are not paid what they deserve to be paid and not treated and respected the way that they should be. Because if it wasn't for them, you wouldn't have anybody else. I mean, you know, actors, doctors, lawyers, presidents, all these people are molded and shaped from our teachers. And I think when you have somebody who is passionate about what they do, it affects everyone else. But I think in particular when it comes to the creative arts, when you watch, you know, everybody's affected. Whether you don't know, you can know nothing about ballet, but if you go to watch a ballet dancer, you know, dance, and you get you know entrapped in it, you know, you're just, it's just like this, wow, you know, I mean, like you can't even describe it. It's just like, wow, their passion overtakes you. It's the same thing with, you know, when you watch a good movie or you watch a good TV show, you hear a dope record, or, you know, you see a good band perform, you know, or dance routine, or anything like that. I think when it comes to creative arts, you, there's this, you can feel this energy that was put out there for that particular piece of artwork. and people respect it. And I think that's what it was with Atlanta. There was so much that they were able to, you know, bend the rules and break the boundaries. I mean, the episode that
Mm-hmm.
I was a part of, you know, Stephen wrote, you know, and Donald directed, it was, you know, I got so many comments on people were just like, man, like as far fetched as that was, it was so believable because it's like, you know, these commercials sometimes be hilarious like that. You know, the interviews, like even my character, they were like, man, I see so many reporters that are like that. Like that's crazy that you know, you did that. And it's, you know, they honestly didn't exaggerate too much on the show. I think, you know, everybody was
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, a black Justin Bieber and blah blah. Well, the fact of the matter is, it wasn't the fact that it was a black Justin Bieber. They weren't. You know, if you really watch the show, it wasn't poking fun at him. It was talking about the success and influence that this guy has to where he could go around and rub somebody's face, you know, the way they did in Atlanta, and like girls go crazy. Like he had that Beatles, Michael Jackson success, and it was pointing this
Mm-hmm.
like one person can get that popular. Where if this guy went around and he like licked his finger and stuck it in your nose, you're not taking a bath for like a month or something. You know, it's like talking about that aspect, you know, and in effect, and I think the show affected social change. It had a lot of people talking. It was crazy. If you look at the numbers for that show, you know, the ratings were almost split down the middle. Just as many white people watched the show in that demographic of 18 to 35 or 18 to 40 as black people did. So it was
Right.
amazing. But yet, it's funny to go back to the critic thing. Critics still label it as a black, quote unquote, a black show.
Yeah.
But I'm like, but when you have it where it's damn near 60-40, 55-45, white people or other people watching it other than black people, that's a global show. It's not just a black show. That's global. It's like it resonates with us as a black audience. But white people are watching that show and laughing at some of the same jokes. White people are watching that show and going, man, I wanted to be a rapper. I want to make music. And, you know, I had to go through that struggle that he's going through, or nobody
Exactly.
identifies with me. So that's, I think that's another thing to kind of, not to go backtrack, but to kind of touch base on the question you asked earlier. That's what I mean by the quality. It's like the projects that I want to be a part of, I want to affect social change. I want people to look at stuff
Exactly.
and or look at me and look at me as a complete package. I'm not just a black actor. I'm an actor who is black. Don't categorize me, and I can only do. And that's the thing that Hollywood is doing right now. It's like, oh, well, you're a black actor, so you can only do black films. It's like, okay, well, don't nobody refers to Denzel as a black actor. They refer to him as a great actor.
An Oscar-winning actor, right?
Yeah, he's an Oscar-winning, a great actor. Go back, same thing with Will Smith. It's like, okay, but these guys have done, you know, black film. I mean, you know, you want to talk about, you know, icons. I mean, he played, you know, Denzel played Malcolm X, great black
Exactly.
icon. But it's like that's not a black movie to me. You know, that's a global movie. People that you know, they did a good enough job, and he did a great job as a performance, educating people on who this black man was. Same thing with Will Smith. He played Ali. That's a global movie. You know, it's like that's educating people on this is who Ali was and this is the struggle he went through. But, you know, there's white people out there that know exactly who Malcolm X and Ali is. So you're going to sit there and label it as just, oh, it solely has to be put in that box. To me, it's like don't box it in. It's like Atlanta is not just a show for black audiences. It's like you don't
Exactly.
hear, you know, I'm so passionate about that because it's like you don't hear people refer to Friends as a white show. Friends is
Exactly.
one of
No.
the most successful shows as far as their cast. I think was among the first to get like $1 million an episode or something crazy like that. And they went on so many seasons and launched so many careers. But how often do you hear white people go around talk about Friends is just a white show? It's like, no, I know plenty of black people, Latin people that watch Friends. You know, they enjoy
Exactly.
Sex and the City. They watch these shows. They don't label them as that. So it's like we shouldn't fall into that trap either, or allow Hollywood or any other people to fall into that trap, because then it does become limiting. And then they go, well, see, the numbers didn't do well. Like Get Out, that didn't do well. It's like Get Out killed the game last
It
year, and
did.
it better win an award tonight, even though the Globes are trying to put it in a damn comedy, which is nothing funny
Yes,
about it.
I was very frustrated with that too. I don't see how it was a comedy. To me it was potent. It was thought provoking, not a comedy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And I totally understand where you're coming from with when people label things as, oh, it's a black movie, it's a this movie, because it's not. I know plenty of people, different people, who watch Atlanta, who watch Friends. Again, you just said that black people will watch Friends. I do. My mom loves Friends, goes crazy. It's just I totally agree with you. It drives me crazy when people label things like that, because it doesn't have to be labeled, because all different types of people watch movies. It's
exactly.
It
Exactly.
is what it is. It is what it is. And all types of people watch shows. And, you know, I do believe, you know, Hollywood needs to reflect more on the diversity that are in people.
Absolutely, and it starts from the top, man. You know, it starts from, you know, up, and you know, people think it starts from the ground up, and it's the other way around. You know, these producers, you know, when you have an all-white executive producing team, you know, it's like, of course they're going to put out what people want to see what they relate to.
Exactly.
Have an all male writers room, they're gonna have women walk around scantily clad and blah blah blah. And
Hmm.
here's the thing, it's like, I don't knock it. It's like, I think females are beautiful. I love, you know, women in general. This the female and the female form and the female essence is great, but there's still a respect that lends to it. Just like there's women that think, you know, the male body who's in shape, the guy who's in shape. It's like, all right, cool, but there's flip sides to every stone. So it's like, I'm
There
sure
is.
we had, you know, um, an all-female, you know, writers room, there are going to be things in there in reference to men. Well, some guys might take offense to it, like, "Oh, not all of us are like that," or, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like, you have to have that mixture. You have to have younger people and older people in the writers room. You have to have
Exactly.
men and women in the writers room. You have to have Black, white, Latin, Asian, all that in the writers room, depending on the content that you're putting out. Now, granted, it makes sense if, like Scorsese, you know, if you're doing a movie about some you know, Celtics over in Scotland, you know what I mean? It's like, some Black people may not be educated on that as well as, you know, Scottish white people in the writers room. So it's like, okay, that makes sense. But you cannot make a film about, you know, Harlem in 1970, you know, and not have one Black person in the writers room. It's like,
I
or
agree.
that went through that experience, or that has studied that, or is even of that age frame. You cannot have them and then go, okay, we're gonna have this 12 or excuse me, this 22-year-old white kid from Rhode Island talk about Harlem in the write about Harlem in the 1970s. It's like, are you crazy? Like, no, that's not gonna work, man. What does he know about that other than what he read in a textbook that might have been fabricated? It's like, why don't you go get, you know, 45, 50-year-old, you know, Black male or female who grew up in Harlem, you know, that could
Yes.
understand that and write for that, you know, and that's the thing. And it starts from the writers room, the producers, you know, because sometimes the directors, depending on how big you are as a director, you may not have the pull to get that actor that you want, or say, this is the way I want to go, because, you know, the studio's like, well, we're piping this amount of money, this is what you're going to do. You know, casting directors, you know, I kind of have a love-hate relationship with a lot of casting directors, because I think a lot of times they do want to champion for actors, but at the same time, it's like they can't speak up because their job's in jeopardy. But then you have some of them who are kind of just like, oh, well, I want to follow the trend, so this is what we're going to get. Because I can tell you, as an actor, I can't, you know, and I actually am keeping track of it so I can affect the change for myself. You know, I'd say 8 out of 10 auditions that I get as an actor, um, with my experience and my resume, 8 out of 10 auditions that I get, Hollywood has this thing now where they're getting slick about it. So to avoid the whole PC thing, a lot of the times, actors will get breakdowns that say open ethnicity. So basically, that's, to me, a roundabout okey doke way of saying, well, we can't just say we only need white actors and we'll look at everybody else. But at the same time, we don't want to close the door on white actors. So we're just going to open it up to everybody. But the problem with that is, 8 times out of 10, they wind up casting a white actor. And I'll go back and look at auditions that I've gotten, and I'll go and see who they cast. And more often than not, it's a white dude. You know, even if there are times when it's like, okay, we could get a male or female for this role. This role could be, you know, either sex, or either gender, and we'll look at that. And then I go and see, and they cast this like young white kid, you know, and it's just like, okay, if you're telling me he's the best actor, I can get it. But when I start looking at resumes, reels, credentials, I don't buy it. And you mean to tell me, even if you didn't cast me, I don't care. But you mean to tell me, out of all these ethnicities and all these people, that hundreds and hundreds of actors that submitted, that are hardworking, that have busted their ass, male and female, still only a white person was good enough for the role? It's like, come on, man, get out of here with that. Like, that to me
Completely
has to
understand.
stop. You know, people know specifically when they're in the writer's room, or when I'm talking to writers, I'll ask them, you know, what made you write this part? Or why did you write this part? And they're like, I was thinking of this particular person. Writers usually will have somebody in mind, you know, somebody they grew up with, somebody they heard about, somebody that they saw on TV or whatever. You know what that person looks like: tall, short, fat, skinny, black, white, older, young. You have a general idea of what they want. And thus it's like, okay, I kind of want to see these type of actors. But when you're basically calling in everybody and you're still picking a white person, it's like, of course people are upset with Hollywood. And of course there's this whole, battle that's going on between minorities and gender, because it's like you're perpetuating the cycle of white is right, and whitewashing all these films and stuff. And don't get it twisted. At the end of the day, it's not a anti-white thing that I'm saying. It's not that.
Of
It's just
course not.
the matter is Hollywood is not reflecting what the world looks like today. That's just fact. And
Absolutely agree.
most of the stories and TV shows, they're not doing that.
Yeah, I 100% and they need to, because there's no excuse. We are a melting pot of culture and diversity and people, so there's no excuse. If TV can literally show pretty much anything, I mean, 10 years ago, you would never have seen, just to give an example, shows about, people with Down syndrome. 10 years ago, you wouldn't have seen it. Now,
no.
Now you do.
Yeah.
Now you do. And it's, I feel like if TV can get that, okay, we need to reflect everybody. When I mean everybody, I mean everybody. Then I don't understand why, Hollywood continues dragging its feet about it.
Yeah. Well, it's change is tough, man. And,
it is.
People don't, and I think as a mass, I think they still think people cannot handle honesty as a mask. So they're trying to spoon feed, if you will, everything. And to me, it's like, like, for example, one of the new shows I'm hooked on now, and I'm glad it's out, is The Chi, on Showtime. It's because this show is now going to reveal, this is what Chicago really is like. This is why they call it Chirac or whatever. But it's not just going to be about the violence. From what I've seen so far, it's about, this is the reality of it. These cats are in a position where they're trying to make a better life, but because of their circumstances, it's not an easy fix. It's hard to get through. And it's like, because when you see it on the news, of course, you let the news tell it, Chicago is, a bunch of angry, violent black people killing each other. And it's just like, the cops are forced to draw their guns or whatever. Not to get too much into politics, but it's like, okay, you look at the environment that you put me in. Because I could tell you right now, there's some sections of, the South, Georgia, North Carolina, where it's poor whites, the trailer parks, if you will, blah, blah, that do the exact same thing, but you don't never see that on the news. You don't see the meth labs are literally right across the street from an elementary school, but you're not gonna see that. But they'll go and talk about, oh yeah, this black kid got shot for his Jordans or something like that, and it probably wasn't even the case. So these shows need to, like The Chi, is basically, I see that they are reflecting certain things like that, and that's a program that I'm definitely putting my bid in. I know it just came out, Absolutely. But it definitely should get a second season. I'm definitely down to be on that show for sure, and put my hat in for that. But it's like, those are the type of stories that need to be, need to be told, and in all aspects. You need to, look at, before the whole stuff that was going on with Jeffrey Tambor, and it sucks because, Transparent, I've only seen a couple episodes, but what it's doing for the LGBT community, is amazing. They love that show, and it's unfortunate that the stuff going on with Jeffrey Tambor is kind of putting a stain on it. But that story needs to be told too. And the fact of the matter is, in my opinion, it's like, okay, but that's a blessing, I think, for the show, because now you actually get to hire a transgender, for that role, because there are transgender actors out there that could go in and kill it and do work.
Exactly. So that's exactly. If they see it that way, it's definitely a blessing in disguise that I think they should take a full advantage of. Get a transgender actor to do a role for Transparent. That would be absolutely groundbreaking, and that's what we need to continue to do, especially in 2018.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what I want to do. I want to employ, and I see the actors that I follow and respect on social media are trying to do the same thing. They're trying to step the game up and go, these are the only stories that we are going to tell. And I think, audiences will adapt. They always do. Audiences adapt to whatever we show them, because they just want to get taken away from the reality. Nobody wants to watch the news all day. Nobody wants to watch, get on Twitter and hear about what the hell the damn president is saying over and over and over again. That man is crazy. He's
exactly.
And, and I have a thing, and I implore the listeners to do this too. I made a pact to myself a while ago. If you notice, I don't refer to him by name because to me that gives him too much power. He's like a stray animal. If the press keeps feeding this dude, he's going to continue to do the same stupid stuff that he's doing and making this country look really, really bad and making that office look
Exactly.
really, really bad. And it's just like, don't pay attention to him. When you can see something that he's done on Twitter, don't even call him out on it. Don't address him. Don't tag him. Don't do anything, or Instagram or whatever. Just be like, yo, this clown is crazy. Let's ignore him, because after a while you take that power away and he goes away.
You
And
do.
that's with any social injustice, as far as people that are continuously doing that. Now, obviously, there's certain things that we do need to speak up on, like the police brutality sort of issue, like the sexual assault and harassment of women and stuff like that. Those people need to be called out and put away. But when you have somebody who's just doing silly stuff like what the president is doing, it's like, okay, he's looking for attention, so stop giving it to him.
Exactly. Exactly. I 100% agree with that. And me and you think the same way. I don't say his name either. I don't want to give that. I don't like to give negativity power. And the only
Yeah.
way you don't give negativity power, if you just don't even bother with it. You just don't even respond to it. And
Yeah.
the less you respond to him, the less it will happen. Just people just got to quit feeding that. And yeah, I completely understand what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's my little preachy thing. Back to the word, but it all ties in. I mean, that's what we do as storytellers. Is hopefully we we do powerful enough work that it gives us a platform, and then we can sit there and say, and not to preach, but to say, really think about the stuff that you're doing. Really think about the stuff that you're saying. How are you making somebody's life better? How are you making somebody's life worse? And adjust. If you're not making somebody's life better, or you could be doing better, adjust to that. If you're making somebody's life worse, then how do you fix that? And I think actors who have larger platforms than myself that I respect are using it in that positive way. And if you are somebody who has a large platform, whether you're an actor or not, but obviously if you are an entertainer, or even if you're a celebrity, yes, we need to pitch our products, but it ain't always about that. Like, while you're doing that,
Exactly.
be that type of person. It's like, okay, I did this film because it believes it will affect this social change this way for me, and hopefully you guys get the same thing. And that's really what it's about. I mean,
Absolutely.
that whole thing of look how many cars I got and look how famous I am, and all. It's like, okay, great, fantastic. We're in a age now where anybody can be YouTube famous. So it's like,
Exactly.
I can do half the work you do and get the same amount of fame. It ain't about that. It's what are you doing with your celebrity, with your notoriety, with your platform that's making things better,
Exactly.
because things are crazy out there. And I hope 2018 is a way better year than 2017, because last year was rough. We got a
Absolutely.
lot of recovery to do.
Absolutely. And I just want to say, I don't think you came off as preachy at all. I think it's great when actors really share their thoughts, because people want to just label you guys as just actors and you guys just stay in your lane and don't say anything. I think
Yeah.
it's great when you guys come out and like again, you did no bashing. You were just speaking from what you were, speaking from your heart and your experience. So there's nothing wrong with that, using that platform to do that. And I think you're doing that the right way. And I totally agree with you. I do believe more if celebrities, not even just celebrities, people with bigger platforms should definitely use it for positivity. And let's just hope that 2018 will be just a tiny bit better than 2017. So I definitely agree with that. But
Yeah.
I do, before we round out this interview there, Mr. Chris, I do got one final question for you. As we were
Sure.
talking before, navigating Hollywood. Now, you have obviously reached some success, as I list off your resume. What can you say, advice to other young actors who are trying to get that big break? What advice can you give them?
Um, hmm. Because I'm trying to think of because to me, it's not really one. If I could bottle and sell up success, I'd quit acting, because
Right. I'm
that's,
with you, right there
yeah.
with
Why work so hard?
you.
But that's really it. In all seriousness, is just do work, man. You have to work hard. Um, I don't believe. There's a saying that hard work is the key. Like, if you work hard, you'll get everything. And then, but at the same time, there's people out there that believe, well, some people are just talented. There's the phrase that, you know, um, hard work beats talent unless talent works hard, you know, and it's like, I kind of agree with both of them and I kind of disagree with both of them. I think the only similarity or the only thing that's constant with them is the hard work part. You have to work hard. Nobody's going to give you anything, man. Nobody's going to stick their hand out and go here unless there's something that they can gain from it. Because if somebody's in a position higher than you, more often than not, they're not going to reach back and give you something at the risk of losing what they work so hard for. Because if you're
Exactly.
lazy, then it could cost them something, I think, I truly believe that in this industry, nobody wants to be your friend until they need to be your friend. And I know that sounds harsh, but if you really think about it, the groups of cliques of actors that stick together is because they all have the same, like I said, like mentality, or like, Issa Rae was saying, they network laterally. Those people that stick together have the same mentality. They work equally as hard. Um, and they know they can piggyback off of each other. Nobody's really riding anybody's coattails in those little cliques. So as an actor on the come up, it's like, get your little group, or get a group of people that are like-minded as you, have the same goals. You have their accountability partners. You hold each other accountable and do work. Go out and experience something new every day if you can. And even if you can't travel, go down the street you never, been down. Now, be careful. If you're in the hood or something, don't be trying to go down this block and, nah, I'm not talking about that. I'm
Right.
saying, like, if there is, I'm from New York originally, and I just went back recently and I talked to my niece, and, you know, I can't remember. I don't think I've ever been to the, Museum of Modern Art there. I mean, as far as like, and I grew up there, and it's just like, I've been to the zoo, I've been to all these places. Like, damn, I've never been to the art museum. That's crazy. And it's not because I didn't have the opportunity to go. It's just, you don't think about that. Oh, I live here, so whatever, it's going to be there. Don't have
Right.
mentality. Like, if there's a museum you haven't been to, if there's an art gallery you haven't been to, if you haven't been to an open mic night or somewhere, or a specific speakeasy or whatever it is, wherever you live, there's always something creative that you can find. Go see that. Go see how it affects you, and just relax and chill. Go people watch. Go, as I say, stop and smell the roses. Get a bunch of actors together. Work on a play. Work on a scene. Go train. Go to an acting class. There's acting classes all over the place. Even if they're not the best class, in the world, but they're the best class in that area, go to it, because it's all stepping stones. Because when you get to that point where you playing up against the big dogs, like, these are people that have done everything that I just listed, and they ready. They don't have anything to prove. They've already got that spot. You're trying to get up to them. So you gotta do work and put it in, and stop making excuses. Fear is always gonna be there. It's whether you use the fear for you or against you. So go in and do that, and then you'll start noticing those people sticking their hands out. Yo, I see you trying to climb this ladder, man. It's a little slick right here. I'm gonna give you a little boost because you sweating, you working hard. I see you busting ass. Like, I'm gonna help you out. But if you just down there waiting on somebody to throw you the rope down, it's like, yo, it's not gonna happen. You can get that quick little love of, I got 1 million followers or blah, blah, blah. That game has already been proven. People have already talked about that. You could buy followers, somebody could retweet something that you got and it'll boost you followers, whatever. That doesn't mean that you're deserving of that. It's fleeting. Just as quickly as you got it, it'll go away, because the industry is going to look and say, what credentials do you have to back this up? Well, you don't have credentials, then you must be really skilled. So let me see something. Because if you don't have it, then it doesn't matter. You gotta go through, and take the good and bad that life gives you, and figure out how to put that into your story, and tell your story. And I'll wrap it up really by saying, one of the, for me, and a lot of people didn't show this movie a lot of love, but I mean, as far as the message I got from it and the story I got from it, and which is why to me he's if he's definitely top 3 on the list as far as lyricists and MCs. But Eminem, a lot of people get mad at Eminem, but the fact of the matter is, you cannot knock this man's work ethic. And
Absolutely.
8 Mile, like, the thing I liked about 8 Mile was, it wasn't this rocky story of, this is the white guy and the black man's world trying to be a rapper and blah blah blah. He outworked everybody. That's why he got the respect, at least in the movie, of people. And the particular scene where he chokes up, he finally gets up there to rap and he chokes up, and people are like booing him and all this other stuff. And the Future, the actor, or not the actor, but the character Future, is introducing him, and Future's got all this respect from all the people in the shelter and blah blah. And then when Eminem goes up there and he chokes, everybody's like, "Yo, you vouch for this kid? He's trash." And then he works throughout the movie and busts ass. And next time he comes up there, and everybody's like, "Well, he's going to choke," and then he just blows the doors off the place and blows everybody off the stage. It's like, to me, that spoke to me as an actor, because it's like I could have these greats, Denzel, Will, Pacino, De Niro, all these great people talk about, yo, Chris Greene is like the dopest actor. And then I get on set and I freeze up because I haven't put the work ethic in. Oh, well, they vouch for me. I don't have to do nothing. All I got to do is show up. Now it's like those people won't vouch for me ever again. They won't look at me the same way. And everybody else is like, yo, you're garbage. You're trash. And that's, I think, really what separates the great from the good. It's like the good people do just enough to get by. It's like, okay, I'm gonna be good enough on this audition. I'm gonna be good enough on this performance. I'm gonna be good enough on this red carpet. And it's like the great people are like, nah, good enough don't work. I gotta give it my all every time. And eventually what's gonna happen is I'm gonna be so accustomed to giving 100% that giving 100% is not a task anymore. Like I'm just able to do it. And so that's, to me, that's how I'd sum it up. It's like, you may choke in the beginning, but then the next time you get an opportunity to get on that stage, just be damn sure you rip it. You know what I mean? You kill it, you do your thing, and it's done. And now your reputation will speak for itself. Your resume will speak for itself. You don't have to open your mouth. People will go, yo, did you see that last film or that last show or that last stage play or that last stand-up, whatever it is, as an actor you're trying to get into? Did you see that last thing they did? Yo, you need to go watch that, because I'm about to go watch their new joint. It's going to be crazy. And that's essentially what it is for me, in my opinion.
I like that. I like that. And I hope that's really key. I hope the key words our audience really got is, no one wants to be your friend till they need to be your friend.
Yeah.
That I am going to probably trademark that, put it on a t-shirt. I think that is one of the boldest but truest statements I possibly heard in a while. I think that's so very true. And worth ethic. Worth ethic is really important, especially to be an actor. You got to have it. And you just can't rely on, as you said, vouching low. You got to put the work in order to get the product you want.
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate that. And if you start selling those shirts, 10%, let me get that kickback.
Right, 10%. That's right.
Yeah.
I'll have my people call your people. We'll do lunch and we'll talk about the shirts.
That sounds exactly like a plan to me. So
yeah, we'll do that. That sounds like, yeah, we'll do that. Absolutely. Chris, I really appreciate you coming in and talking with me today. Your words, I really hope and I know my Black Talent TV family will just absolutely love this. I know that you're just proving yourself to be just a brilliant, grounded, and just well thoughtful guy. And I'm just amazed. I'm actually blown away by you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's just very, very kind words, and they seriously they really are appreciated. I love what you guys are doing and showcasing artists of all levels. I think it's great because we always hear the success story of the big people, the bigger dogs, and how the men and women got there and all that. But it's also this it's the kind of same struggle. It's the started from the bottom.
Exactly.
But I think somebody who's on the way up has a different struggle, and I think somebody starting has a different struggle. So it's good that you guys cover all the mediums, and keep doing your thing, man. I mean, I love some of the past interviews that I looked at and saw, and I even learned something from. I was like, oh man, that's a good way to look at something. So, keep doing that. I hope like you said, if anybody got anything from me, it was uplifting or motivating.
Absolutely.
What I try to be, and keep doing your thing. Thanks for all the love and support from everybody who has been out there and seen the films I'm in, whether you watched them because I was in it or not, or you knew it, doesn't matter. Watching the project that I'm a part of and showing that support is always welcome. And I'm gonna keep trying to do my thing and keep you guys entertained this year.
Absolutely. And like you said, you got, Black Talent TV support. You got us supporting on. You got our fan support, I am sure. It's going to be exciting to see what you bring to 2018, Chris. We're really excited. We're going to make sure to keep an eye on out for you. Look, if there's ever a big premiere ever hit, we would love to cover it, man. We would love to have you back on here again. We think that'd be great.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. That's not a problem. I'll definitely be back. So you guys just let me know, when you need me to come on here and then chat it up with you. So yeah, hopefully it'll definitely be soon. We got some things in the works, so we'll be keeping tabs with you guys for sure.
Awesome. Awesome. That is great. Thank you so much. We truly appreciate it. Black Talent TV family, again, actor Chris Greene. He's just absolutely amazing. Make sure you guys keep an eye on him in 2018. He's going to, blow up even more than he already has. So we're really excited to have him down here talking with us. So that'll be the end of our show today, you guys. I really do appreciate you guys coming in and listening, especially to Chris. He, said some powerful words that I'm pretty sure will, really resonate with a lot of you guys. So we appreciate you guys for listening in. Again, I am your host, Simone Jackson. If you guys ever wanted to come down and chat with us or just advertise with us, please contact info@Black Talent TV. Black Talent TV family. Chris, thank you guys for stopping by. I hope you guys have a wonderful day.
Yes, man.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Enjoy.
Absolutely.